This is He Knows His Sport, bringing you that heat and that fart. Well, we all know, folks, that Vasiliy Lomachenko is going to be fighting Anthony Crolla. I'm going to say that again. Vasiliy Lomachenko is going to be fighting Anthony Crolla. If I was him, I would not be looking ahead. You know what I'm saying? He needs to focus on this opponent because the guy's tall, he's long, he's rangy. You know, he has an awkward style. You know, and he comes to fight. You know, this is not just no step-down opponent. To me, it's not just a tune-up. And if Vasiliy Lomachenko is looking at it as such, he's going to be in for a rude awakening. It's tonight, you know what I'm saying, 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, folks. Y'all need to tune in to that fight, man. I think Vasiliy Lomachenko is going to make a statement, you know, but at the same time, I need him to focus in because I see his head's been a little bit all over the place. You know, I know he's been clowning Mikey Garcia, and I've been loving it. But it's fight time, dude. You know, and you didn't have a great performance against Pedraza, so you gotta right that ship. We can't have you be having another performance like that against an opponent such as Crolla. This is supposed to be a blowout. It's supposed to be a boxing clinic. You know what I'm saying? It's supposed to be a pure boxing lesson. I don't think that Vasiliy Lomachenko is going to knock out Crolla because of Crolla's length and his size, but I think he's going to hurt him badly. We know that Lomachenko does not have knockout power, but he has pop, you know, and his pop does stink. Loma has made people quit before, but to his credit, you know what I'm saying, and to his defense, he's not a knockout artist. He's not a knockout specialist. And I just feel that Crolla got some skills there. He's not just an awkward fighter. There is some boxing skills there. And he's not an opponent that was picked because, you know, it was just an easy fight for Vasiliy Lomachenko. He actually was picked because of the fact that, you know, he's what they call a good tune-up. You know, you guys know what I mean when I say good tune-up in boxing. That's somebody that you fight that is what we call above average competition. Crolla's not nothing to sleep on, I'm telling y'all. I've been watching some of his fights. I've been going by the tail of the tape. And what I see from him, I see that, you know, if he's able to use his length and his size and his reach advantage, he can give Vasiliy Lomachenko some problems. Because Vasiliy Lomachenko is a small guy, man. We're talking about a 5'6" guy with a 65-inch reach. Don't get me wrong, he's super elite with that shit. But he is, you know, what he is limited to his height and his size, you know, differential. And to me, that's not enough in terms of everything else that he can make up in his skills. So I feel like Crolla got the size and the reach, but he severely lacks in the skill department when you're talking about Loma. And I feel that Loma is way heavily more skilled than him. And not only that, Loma has the experience. He's fought at this level, this championship level, for a considerable amount of times. So, you know, this is not a Saturday night fight, so we know we're not clamoring for it. And really, I would have talked about it earlier, but it really wasn't a big deal like that because there's just so much else going on in boxing, like Clarissa Shields versus Christina Hammer. To me, that's the bigger fight that's going to take place on April 13th. You guys saw the face-off, man. That face-off was vicious. Them two females look like they want to rip each other's heads off. So to me, that's the more interesting fight. But I feel that Loma's going to take care of business. But what I felt was interesting was Bob Arum, man. Bob Arum was saying some shit now. You know, Bob Arum is a old car salesman. You know, that's what I call him, the shiesty motherfucker. So sometimes when he say stuff, I feel like he just be talking out of his mouth. And sometimes when he say stuff, there's some validity to it. And he was coming for Floyd Mayweather's neck in regards to Tank Davis. Do they want the Tank Davis fight? You know, are they sitting there and they're really blowing up people's smoke about it? I think there's some degree of that because, you know, it's interesting how when Loma has a fight, you know, Tank's name come out of his mouth. And again, I don't think that Loma's afraid of Tank, but I've said it before that Tank is the most dangerous fight for Lomachenko. And what I'm hearing, and it came out of Bob Arum's mouth, is they trying to do that shit at 130. If that's the case, that gives Tank an advantage. Not 135, 130. That gives Tank an advantage. Because at the end of the day, that's where Tank fights at, 130. Loma hasn't fought at 130 since I don't know when. Loma's 135, folks. So that means Loma will be draining weight to fight Tank if they were to have that fight. Can Loma make 130? Yes, he can. It wouldn't be a problem. But let's not forget, that's not the weight class he fights at currently. So he's draining weight, whereas Tank is actually fighting at his weight class. So that would be an advantage in Tank's favor if they were to fight. And I'm actually going to look at it more closely in Tank's favor. Plus, you guys know, to me, Tank is the mini Mike Tyson. He has the Mike Tyson strength, and he has the Roy Jones Jr. athleticism. So if they fight, this is going to be something serious. But the question is Mayweather Promotions going to still stop playing this back and forth bullshit and not groom Tank Davis right? If that's the next fight for Tank Davis, it's going to be a very dangerous fight for him. Do I think that Tank Davis can pull it off? Yes. But like I said, he needed to build himself up. I wanted to see him fight Abner Maris, which he got robbed. That wasn't his fault. He was robbed out of that situation because we know Abner Maris ducked in the last minute with that retina bullshit. Then the whole step up would have been him versus a Gary Russell, you know what I'm saying? Or I would say Tevin Farmar first. And then after that, him versus a Gary Russell, man. It would have been DC versus Maryland, man. You know what I'm saying? DC versus B Moore. That would have been an epic fight. And then, because they're fighting a like-minded competitor, you know what I'm saying, and Gary Russell Jr., and if he would have dispatched Gary Russell Jr. effectively with a TKO stoppage, that would have lined him up and set him up for Loma. But they're not doing it like that. Bob Arum want that shit now, which makes sense. It would go in Loma's favor because Tank doesn't have enough championship experience at that level that Loma has. But where Tank lacks in championship experience, he doesn't lack that in skills. He doesn't lack that in abilities. And he does not lack that in youth. We're talking about a 31-year-old Loma versus a 25-year-old Tank. Tank has the age advantage. So there's a lot of advantages that Tank has. Plus, Tank has legitimate knockout power. I've told you guys, his knockout power is that of a heavyweight. So to me, Tank could drop Loma effectively if they were to fight. And if I have to pick and I have to draw a line in the sand, I love me some Lomachenko, man. And I always say I won't bet against him. But I'm rooting for Tank, man. I don't know what it is about Tank Davis, but I've always said that if there's somebody that has the kryptonite to take Loma down, it will be Tank Davis, folks. And now that the fight is happening, supposedly, if they were to work some things out and Mayweather could come to the table with Bob Arum, and this is not just blowing up smoke people's ass, and they really could make something happen at 130, oh man, Tank got the advantage. 130 pounds? That's Tank all day. Y'all got to look at that for what it is. If it was 135, I'd have leaned towards Loma because clearly Loma's the 135 guy. But 130? Shit. I don't know. We have to start reevaluating that. But y'all let me know what y'all think. But Loma needs to get past Crolla right now, man. You know what I'm saying? Focus on your opponent ahead of you. Because, see, a lot of times it's the opponent that we least expect that ends up being the hardest in our fight. Like Matt Korobov. No one expected him to give Jamal Charlo the fight that he did. When you look now back at his amateur pedigree and his background, yes, you could see, okay, it was going to be, it was a hard fight. But on a 10-day notice, you know what I'm saying, with Willie Monroe pulling out because of him being injured, it's not like Matt Korobov had a full training camp. So no one expected Jamal Charlo to struggle the way he did. Plus, no one thought that Jamel Charlo was going to have a controversial loss versus Tony Harrison. So that threw things out of whack. But the point that I'm trying to make is, look at how that fight turned out. And that was a guy that took on a fight 10 days before the fight. Crolla is not taking this fight on 10 days before. He had a full training camp. So all I'm saying is Loma better not sleep on this dude, man, because he has some skills. He would be what I consider an above average fighter, and he has length and he has reach. The question is, will he be able to use it against Loma? Nah, a big fucking no. That's not going to happen because Loma knows what's at stake, and he's not going to end up, you know, not allowing himself to continue to profit off of these big fights like a potential, you know, human pinata, aka beat my face in dude, Mikey Garcia, or Tank Davis. These are the fights that needs to be made. These are the fights that needs to happen next after Crolla. But y'all let me know what y'all think in this comment section. This is He Knows the Sport. Checking out.